Baltimore City is preparing to launch its reparations fund, but faces delays from state officials. Patrick Huff of our Spotlight on Maryland team investigates how this impacts taxpayers.
Maryland requires that about 1/3 of its cannabis tax revenue goes to local jurisdictions to spend on community initiatives. However, we reported last week on how these counties have spent less than 1% of the funds so far. Our questions about how this impacts Baltimore remain unanswered. Baltimore City's newly passed budget for fiscal year 2026 allocates $5 million from the Community Reinvestment and Reparations Fund into the Office of Equity and Civil Rights, $300,000 of which it will use to complete a citywide equity assessment. A spokesman for Mayor Scott's office told Spotlight on Maryland that the $5 million from its reparation fund will be sent to and managed by the city's Reparations Commission. However, the spokesman said Mayor Scott's office is awaiting direction from state officials before finalizing how much commission members are paid, how big their staff will be, and what exactly they can spend the funds on. David Williams, the president of the Taxpayer Protection Alliance, said Maryland leaders do not appear to be prepared to launch the repair fund.
This is a new state program, and there seems to be confusion about disbursement of this money, and that's what they should address first, is making sure that everyone is on the same page.
The Baltimore City Reparations Fund is backed by Maryland taxpayer dollars through the statewide Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund, which is run through the Maryland Office of Social Equity. Money has been piling up unspent for nearly 2 years. Baltimore City is set to receive the largest portion of the state repair funds, which are allocated in proportion to each county's number of cannabis possession charges in the 2 decades prior to legalization. However, it's still unclear how much Baltimore City will receive through the fund and what exactly it will be spent on. Mike Watson, a research director at Capital Research Center, said state and local officials owe taxpayers more information.
I'd be concerned about the lack of transparency whenever the budgeting, whenever the expenses and revenues are not clear. And again, the fact they've had a couple years now to prepare for this.
The Baltimore City Council launched its Reparations Commission in 2023 to manage the repair funds. Mayor Scott appoints 16 of the 17 members of the commission, which is yet to be finalized. Baltimore County similarly launched a commission to manage its state repair funds and released a report in December showing it received $10.7 million and committed to spend about $350,000 of them on its freezing weather shelter. The $10.7 million figure from Baltimore County is more than double what Baltimore City budgeted through its reparations fund. However, Baltimore City is supposed to receive about twice the state repair funds as Baltimore County, according to the Maryland Office of Social Equity. We'll have more soon on Governor Wes Moore's involvement with the cannabis tax revenue and how counties plan to spend the money. For Spotlight on Maryland, I'm Patrick Huff.